Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And welcome to Automotive Inspire, our new series where we interview innovative, inspiring people making a difference in the world of mobility. I'm Drew Winter with Ward's Auto and the Informatech Automotive Group, and I'm here today with Zulf Ali, Director of Interior Design at electric startup Rivian. The Rivian R1T electric pickup truck is winning worldwide praise, not only for its performance and handling, but also for its beautifully designed interior, which sets a new benchmark for quality and utility in electric trucks. Zulf Ali is one of the key creative minds behind this masterpiece. He has a true passion for design and great stories about pursuing his dreams. Zulf, thanks so much for joining us today. When did you first get interested in automotive design?
Thank you, Drew. As far as I can remember, to be honest, it was a very young age. It was something that I truly aspired to be when I was a lot younger. It was surrounded by cars at a very early age. My father, I blame my father for that, for the love of cars. He'd be bringing home Ford Capris, Datsun Zs back home and watching him repair them, spending some quality time with him, get to know vehicles. Just mesmerized by just the art, the beauty of it, the smell. It's all the above. So very, very young. Yeah. There was, growing up, you didn't really know too much about cars. You really didn't know that there was a career that you can potentially have in car design. So it wasn't until even at a very young age, being able to go into, and for those folks over in England, I know I'm talking about W.H. Smith. It's one of those magazine stores where you could just go in. And the first thing I would do is just bolt to the car design or the car magazine section, open up a magazine and start looking at cars. Just knowing that there was an opportunity to be a car designer after looking at some of the spreads that they've come out with regarding the Royal College of Art and Coventry University. They'd have these amazing renderings for all these sort of last year or the final year degrees that were like the master's degrees and the BA honors degrees that were sort of in the magazines. Just looking at these beautiful renderings was super inspiring.
Wow. So you had your dad, books, and magazines and all that really got you.
Oh yeah, it was a combination. And my mother would always buy me Hot Wheels. I mean, they'd always buy me little Matchbox cars and whatnot. So it just added to the passion. For me, cars was everything. It was my sort of getaway, sort of retreat to just kind of being by myself and just being just loving the idea that cars. I don't know what I'd do without cars, to be honest.
So the thing is, and that's part of the issue, though. I mean, a lot of people grow up wanting to design cars, but it's an extremely competitive field, and sometimes parents or friends or whether they try to talk people out of this career path because it's so hard to succeed. So, I mean, what challenge? Talk a little bit about what challenges you faced, in this.
Yeah, it was
this difficult field.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a difficult field to start with anyway, and especially difficult when, my father, being an old school sort of, my culture itself, it's always been a difficult one to pursue a career in anything other than academic. So being in a creative field was never looked upon as something that was honorable. So trying to convince my father from a young age was one of the biggest, most difficult parts for me, especially in my culture. My father being a very big sort of pillar in the community, was first generation to come to England. So being a pillar, a strong pillar in the community to create sort of the ethnicity that we had back in England, it was a really tough one for my father to talk to his friends like their kids were being doctors and lawyers and engineers and whatnot. So it was something that my father wasn't really proud at the beginning, knowing that my son wanted to be a car designer. It was my mother was a lot more. I want to say my mother was a lot more sort of supporting. Again, I got my passion from my father on cars. My mother was a fashion designer, so I think I got my creativity from her. So she understood what my passion was. So it did take some convincing. It wasn't until, for the longest time, I kind of hid the fact that I was doing art and design at university. So I kind of kept it sort of low key. My mother supported me and kind of had my back throughout and trying to cover for me, so to speak. It wasn't until I finished my final year at university when I actually told him that I'm actually doing car design. It was one heck of a secret for a while. But that was a huge difficulty. It was a huge difficulty for me. It was very difficult for me to tell my father I want to be a car designer. It wasn't until I won the Royal Society of Arts Architecture Award. Then I presented him. I said, "Dad, this is what I've won." Then I invited him to come and get the award, and then I think he finally understood, like, there's a world out there that, like, our culture is not aware of. So it's kind of a nice, and after that, it was all 100% supportive from him.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. But I think that's a great, lesson for people who want to pursue something like that. You have to show, if your parents or friends or whatever don't believe you, you really have to show you're serious, and you have to show them you're good enough to whatever make it, right? So
it's all about and that's the nice thing about the creative field, that you actually do something, you can actually physically see something as well. So as difficult as it is to convince somebody that you want to go into sort of a creative field, it is actually easy to prove to them, because you can show the fruits of your labor, you can show the images, the sketches, the models that you bring home for those various different sort of creative fields. So once you've convinced them, it's a lot easier after that, for sure. But the drive to it, it's the most difficult part.
So have you had a chance to get your dad into Rivian yet, or anything, or just actually see what you've done in there?
No, not yet. Well, my father is no longer with me.
Oh, sorry.
But my mother and my brothers have been super supportive. They're really been keeping an eye on everything throughout the entire journey. So they're super proud of me. My father was alive when I started Rivian, so it was kind of like halfway through my career in Rivian. Was when he passed away. But I kept him and made sure that I kept him in touch on what I was doing, and I'm sure he would have been proud of me today. So.
Oh God, that's just a great story.
Thank you.
So another thing I'm really interested in is you've worked in the industry for quite a while now. You worked for other automakers and everything. So what attracted you to Rivian? And how different is it working for an EV startup rather than an established automaker?
So there's a number of things. There's a number of things that, for me, for Rivian, as a designer for a start, there are a number of reasons why. As a designer, you're always constantly pushing yourself. You're always trying to constantly push the boundaries, trying to come up with something new. And then when it becomes repetitive, it starts to wear on the designer. It's like you're put in a box and you want to kind of get out. I saw this opportunity with Rivian because, number one, I believe in the electrification of vehicles, just what they can do. It's absolutely mind-blowing. The technology behind it's incredible. And I wanted to be a part of a team that was just essentially trying to make the world a better place. When I came to Rivian here, looking at the packages, it allowed me to really push the boundaries that I wanted to do in conventional sort of vehicles. I'm going to give you an example, like the transmission tunnel. Like the electric vehicles don't have transmission tunnels, right? So you have all that sort of space that you can play about with. You can really push the boundaries. You can really use the platform to your advantage. So when I came to Rivian, giving a designer a clean sheet of paper is something that's like it's like a dream come true. Daunting, nevertheless, because on one hand you're given this clean sheet of paper,
right?
And on the other hand, you're trying to also establish a brand that doesn't have anything that you can pick from history, and then bring into and then kind of like touch on it. So it was a daunting task, exciting nevertheless. But that was part of the journey, though. That was the exciting part, trying to search for a new face, a new form vocabulary that we can comfortably say that this is Rivian and it's unique.
That's one of the things I hear a lot from designers who are working on electric cars. We have that flat floor to work on, with and it's just there's a whole sort of new palette or whatever, right? To create this new interior.
Oh yeah, it's not traditional in any sort of manner. I mean, you still have your safety features that you still gotta abide by, but then the opportunity for open spaces and what you can potentially do there. And especially in Rivian, like, I mean, the part about Rivian as well here is that you get a first-hand experience talking to customers. You can get to experience their lifestyle, talk to them, spend time with them. For example, the flashlight, for example, which has become a brand identity for us. I'm going to touch on that for a second. That really was, you know, customers had a huge say in a lot of that stuff, just watching them going off-roading. They all had flashlights connected to the lower seat or somewhere inside the vehicle. So it just made sense that we kind of made an easy access for it and put it into discrete places, a seamless design, as I call it. You know, being able to just talk to customers and then listen to them and being able to deliver something that they want on a platform that's super far-fetching, it's a golden opportunity.
That's really cool, because I think, just to explain for the audience, that I think like Rolls Royces have like an umbrella that used to, you know, you could pull that out of the door. But on the Rivian, there's this wonderful like flashlight that's right inside the door. And so you open the door and then you can just pop out the flight, which is really handy. And so that's right.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, people have been using it. Every time I speak to somebody who's bought the vehicle, said that we wish we had them on both sides of the vehicles now, because one's not enough, and they use it a lot, and it's surprising how much they actually use it. So all those little sort of like little touches, like the flashlight. We've also got the removable speaker as well, which kind of enhances the experience of outdoor camping and spending time with family and whatnot. Being able to take parts of your vehicle with you to a campsite and say that you're still connected to your vehicle. It's kind of this system, this ecosystem that we've designed that really enhances the experience.
So I don't know if you were part of it also, of the grill that you can, this optional grill, that electric grill that fits behind the cockpit, or actually you can slide it out of the car as an option or whatever.
Oh yeah, the camp kitchen. Yes, yes, the camp kitchen. Yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity, and that's a classic example of the electric platform, right? And you can never ever do that in an ICE vehicle. Like, you're always got that transmission tunnel, and being able to design multiple options in that area, like the camp kitchen. Again, it's all part of that experience. We want people to go out and enjoy their lives. We want people out there and spend time in nature. The world has evolved as COVID has kind of changed the way we work. People are spending more time in their vehicles, spending more time out, doing things that they never used to do as much as or as often. Taking something like a camp kitchen with you, just it's kind of a home away from home, really.
So this brings me to my next question, because I think this is some of the areas that Rivian really stands out, because, you know, a lot of pickups and SUVs are being launched with, you know, Rivian a lot of them are being launched, but so many of them don't have sort of these things, elements that that the Rivian does. You have a great blend of, you know, traditional and new design elements, and so yeah. The wood trim and other things that you don't see in other EVs so much. So what was the thinking when you started out to design the interiors of these vehicles?
So I've worked on a few trucks in my past, Drew, and as designers, the first thing we do is when we start to sketch and design around interiors, the first thing we do is we look at the vents. The vents are this dominant feature in every sort of vehicle. And the first thing we do is we're trying to make a meal out of these vents and then trying to design around them. And it always either we make a huge feature out of them. And then what the team here was trying to do here was trying to design something that could be completely different looking. So the vents were actually the last thing we were thinking about. Like the technology nowadays, if you look at the interior right now, we wanted to design an interior that was uncluttered, for number one. For the use of going off-roading, people had the windows down, the interior could get dirty, so having these nice big bold surfaces being easily cleanable, along with the sustainable materials that kind of help support the story on that one. There was also the vents were the last thing that we want to think about. We wanted the vents to go away and make the tech be the sort of the forefront excuse me, the forefront of the interior. Let the materials really work for themselves, really kind of complement the interior. So the approach to it was just really trying to take inspiration from non-automotive. Again, typically designers, when we start sketching, we've got images of other interiors or other exteriors. So what we wanted to do was kind of not look at automotive, what's currently happening in the automotive world. Let's look at something like this great American mid-century design that's super timeless. We wanted to kind of bring some of that back in. And if you look at some of that timeless design, like the Frank Lloyd Wright houses and the Eames chairs, they have a sense of simplicity to them and a timeless to them. And if anybody looked at them today, you would think, oh my God, it was just designed like a couple of months back. But in essence, it was designed like 50 years ago. So bringing some of that heritage back, bringing some of that and combination of technology. And now that the technology allows you to have these hidden vents, why not take advantage of it? And that's what kind of we wanted to do, was approach it from a different aspect.
Yeah, well, it shows. And so we've got about 5 minutes left here so far, what are you most proud of about your career?
I've had enough. I am blessed. I have been blessed. Worked with a lot of amazing people. Worked on amazing projects, various different companies. But I must say, Rivian's definitely my most proud. There's so many reasons for that. I mean, just being able to. I believe my entire career has led myself and prepared myself to be who I am at Rivian, and being able to design a vehicle that's making a huge impact on the world. And it's just a childhood dream. It's exactly what my career led up to. Being able to design a vehicle that kind of helps the environment, that kind of changes, and especially with the shift that we're going from ICE vehicles, this big shift that we're looking from ICE vehicles to electric vehicles. I do want to say Rivian is definitely something that I'm hugely proud of.
So that's, a lot of people, when they look at the auto industry or mobility, they don't think of saving the world. A lot of young people want, they really want to do something that does good. And so to the new generation of people, that want to come into mobility, who want to design world-changing vehicles, what advice would you give to a young person who wants to become a designer like yourself?
Well, first of all, I mean, when I was younger, it was difficult to get information on car design. I think it's a lot easier for the younger generation because of social media. So, contact people, get advice from people. Find yourself a mentor as well, at least trying to kind of support you in trying to find you a way on how to become a car designer. Once you're to become a car designer, don't give up, be strong and be confident what you want to do, have good intentions. And then also just, it's so much easier to just find information on how to become a car designer. And then also just reach out to people that you trust and that can support you.
Okay. So I always like to ask everyone this question, or please finish the sentence. I love working in the automotive or mobility industry because
it's a childhood dream come true. It allows me to make a positive change to the world. And I just trying to buy cars. I don't even treat it as a job. It's like a hobby every day. And it's super rewarding. And the fact that you get a chance to design something from sketch and then watch it to become a real vehicle, and then to be in a traffic jam and just see that vehicle that you worked on next to you, there's nothing more rewarding than that. No.
Okay, so I think we're running short on time. Just take a look here. Okay, yeah. So Zulf, thank you. Zulf Ali, Director of Interior Design at Rivian. Thanks so much for joining us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't miss the Ward's Auto Interiors and UX conference coming up June 8 and 9 in Novi, Michigan. And also I'm supposed to say, okay, all right. Also, yeah, don't forget Auto Tech 8 and 9 in Michigan as well. So thanks again to everyone. And we'll see you soon. Thanks again for everyone. And we'll all see you next month with another Auto Inspire interview.
Thank you.